Welcome today to the mini class on cheating. So cheating inside of a relationship has a huge stigma connected to it. But in reality, cheating can actually be a signal that the needs are not being met inside of a relationship and can be a great call towards a deeper and more profound connection with your partner. I know, it's hard to get over. And there are certain ways that these things need to be addressed. Each person's feelings and needs need to be taken into account. But when I work with couples who have had infidelity inside of their relationship, it is extraordinary how the infidelity, when navigated gracefully, respectfully, emotionally, and empathetically, can really create a profound and more deeper bond in the relationship. It can be a real game changer. Frequently, we view infidelity as one of these things that destroy and erode the relationship. But frequently, they are just signals or symptoms inside of issues that are already presenting inside of the relationship. I remember working with a couple once who had infidelity inside of their relationship. The female had had strong anxiety issues, and I had been historically treating her for anxiety. She'd become recovered inside of it. But during that period of time, she was kind of distant and withdrawn and unable to tend to the relationship needs for over a year. The side effects of that was that her husband felt a strong disconnection and there was a loss inside of the relationship. He felt he'd lost his wife. I'm not justifying by any means him going and seeking support or connection elsewhere. But when we were able to explore the infidelity that occurred inside of the relationship, it was able to uncover a deeper and more covert pattern inside of the relationship where neither of them really had the ability to communicate and open up to one another about their needs. They'd never really discussed needs inside of a relationship, and they'd never really had open, candid, and vulnerable conversations. So the infidelity actually ended up being the runny nose of the cold. And when we worked and looked at the patterns inside of the relationship, their communications, their ability to be vulnerable with one another, opening up and talking about their needs, their values, their sexual desires. These are topics that a couple that had been married for 12 years had never explored. So once we got the infidelity, the betrayal, the cheating out of the dynamic of the therapy, and we got to look at the relationship pattern and how their relationship had been set up, it really was seen and received by the wife that the relationship hadn't had a connection for a really long time. And this calling out of the relationship crisis really created a space for them to really dissect and pull apart their relationship in all the corners, whether it was the emotional aspect, their sexual relationship, their communication style. We even looked at the roles and the conditionings that they were having inside of their relationship. And so it created an opportunity because it was a bust point. Like they were done and dusted. And so when you've got nothing to lose, you're willing to really unpack and dissect the deeper issues that were presenting. And that couple really got to lay it all out on the table and explore and start to understand each other in a different way. And through the therapy we shared, they began to actually resource and skill themselves in relationship communication and vulnerability, and they started to really communicate in direct ways, simultaneously knowing patterns from both of their family of origins that had been brought into the relationship, and how he was playing dad and she was playing mum, and how this conditioning had robbed them of the beautiful connection that they had in the early days. And that through the cheating, it actually created this cracking open where they could rewrite and redesign their relationship in a way in which was really authentic and vulnerable. Now, I spoke to them just the other day to do a little check-in, and 5 years down the track, they're saying to me they've never had a more connected, more authentic, and more real relationship with one another, that they don't have conflict the way they used to, that they don't hide their feelings and their needs from one another, that they open up in such a real way and meet each other in ways that they had never dreamt. So they even kind of thank the cheating that occurred inside of the relationship because it brought all of this stuff to the surface. Because the truth is, it's never really about infidelity and cheating so much as it is about each person's unmet needs inside of the relationship. And that when we can take that out of the equation and we can begin to dissect the relationship, you can really see that it's really just a symptom of a greater issue that is presenting. And that's why, all issues that present inside of relationships, when explored in a therapeutic space, really create space and capacity for the relationship to be explored in all the ways that it's never been explored before. And the beautiful thing is then you get to redesign and reskill yourself in these ways of having that deep, authentic connection that presented in the beginning that we lose along the way. And so it's really important for us to know that infidelity isn't a deal breaker and that it can be such a great opportunity to be able to enrich and deepen your relationship. Of course, there's many layers that need to be looked at inside of infidelity, like communication, like vulnerability, like emotional exploration, roles, rules inside of the relationship, quality time, staleness, stagnation. And it brings all that to the surface. Simultaneously, things like trust needs to be repaired, honesty and openness through the relationship needs to be created, because trust is restored through honesty. So once we create that culture inside of the relationship, it really gives the opportunity for that trust to be repaired. And it really can be repaired, because once you do the work and you step into the enrichment of the relationship beyond the conditioning, it really does become this real, connected and friendly space in which you can meet each other. And I promise, when you work with infidelity and you work with cheating inside of the relationship, that there are underlying issues and many different kinds. But once they're identified and they're actually resourced and skilled in that therapeutic space, that they can actually become the making of your relationship, not the breaking of it. So I suggest you book a call with me and we get on the path towards healing any kind of crisis or cheating that may have occurred in your relationship. And we can get you back on track and really establishing that relationship that you really have always dreamt of.